You're now listening to All Hogs Sports, covering all Arkansas Razorback sports, such as football, basketball, baseball, and much more. Now, here's your host for today's show, Sam Stimpson.
The Arkansas Razorbacks are headed to the Elite Eight. They defeated Oral Roberts 72-70 last night, I guess 2 nights ago if you're listening to this on Monday. And man, what a game that was. And Devo Davis is just so clutch. When he went up to hit that shot at the end, it was nothing but net, baby. And, you know, just for all of the team to, rise up in the absence of others. Like, Oral Roberts played really good defense on Moses and Justin. That's typical for when you're playing, a team that has a couple good defenders, and they're going to put those guys on your best defenders. So what you need to do in that situation is have guys step up, and a big guy that stepped up is Jalen Tate, playing 38 minutes, 9 for 17 off the floor, 1 for 3 from deep. He had 4 rebounds and 6 assists as well, putting up 22 points and was so clutch from the free throw line at the end. And even though we can have guys have off nights and still win, yes, that's good, but when we play like a team like Baylor, we have to have Moses and Justin, regardless of who's defending them, play well. That's just a sediment to beating a 1 seed. Like, Baylor has 2 losses in the Big 12 for a reason. They're a tough team, and there's a lot that I'll go into later in my little preview, but I'm live from Indy, so this is a little bit of a different, it's not really scripted as much. I'm just kind of talking about the game, preview, and all of that. But then after that, that Devo shot, and then the defense, and Adams almost hit that three-pointer. And Adams is just a fantastic athlete. He leads D1 in scoring, and he's athletic. He's quick off the ball, and his ability to, get down the court and get that shot up was really good. Even though Devo was pretty close onto him, Adams still kind of got a little bit of separation to get the shot up, obviously, but Devo in that last possession, always on the primary defender, and it was good defense on that last shot. There's only so much you can do in a close situation like that, and it didn't go in for them. Now, if we look at a couple other guys on Arkansas's team, Jalen Williams only played 9 minutes, and this is just because we played small ball. His 9 minutes, he played pretty well, but we just went with a smaller lineup because we were able to out-rebound them by 11 without a center in, so there's no reason for Jalen Williams to get up there and clean the boards off if Justin Smith has 11 offensive rebounds. That was the big number from the night that I don't think is, being put in the spotlight, I guess, enough. Just how efficient he is at getting offensive rebounds, because offensive rebounds turn into second chance points. And, Justin also had a pretty good night, 6 of 14 off the floor with 12 points and 14 rebounds. Like I said, 11 of those being on the offensive side, playing 39 minutes, and he did have his biggest games in terms of points early in the year just because he had a pretty good defender in Obanor, so it makes sense. Most moment with an 8-man lineup here, Henderson played a minute, but Desi's played really well off the bench, even though JD didn't play much. Desi kind of served that 6-man role. He had 6 rebounds and 4 assists off the bench, and he's not shooting as much as he was before the season, but he's still working the offense really well, and he also played pretty good defense on Kareem Thompson and a couple other guys. And just overall, it wasn't our night in terms of shooting. We had 77 shots go up, and only 37.7% of those fall from the free throw line. We were 13 out of 15, which was big clutch, 87% there, and then 1 for 9 from deep. That's 11%. And, our defense wasn't bad. In the second half, I thought the second half was good, but the first half wasn't so much. And a lot of people are saying, we can't have Adams have that many points. That's just what he does. Like, he's just that talented. And I think the big point here is our perimeter defense was actually kind of good. 8 out of 31. Oral Roberts shot 31 three-pointers. And only 8 of them went in. That's a 25% rate, and we're not going to play a lot of teams that are going to throw it up 31% from deep. And they only shot 61 times. So they actually shot more from 3 than anywhere else on the court. They were 10 for 13 from the line, 77%. And just something that costed them big time, in my opinion, was Paul Mills, the Oral Roberts coach. He actually got a tech I think it was like 4 minutes in, it was Moses Moody drew a charge, and he disagreed with it. And he was like yelling at the ref on one side of the court, and then he ran across the other side of the court, and then ran at the next ref, and he teed him up there really early, and then we got 2 technical free throws, and Moses made them both, and then boom, that's 2 points. They lost by 2 points. And it's also a different scenario if we're only up by 1, or it's a tie game, and they don't shoot a three-pointer there. That's a tough loss for a team like they are, being a Cinderella, and then especially when, it comes down to some crucial mistake like technicals. Now, Arkansas had 46 rebounds to their 35, able to clean up the boards pretty well with Desi and Justin just, going up and getting boards. Arkansas did a pretty good job passing the ball around, I thought. I feel like the main focal point of the offensive struggle had to be shot selection more than anything. We actually did a pretty good job getting the ball around. Only 10 turnovers to 13 assists. And then I think we were like 50% from 2 or something, and we're usually like in the 60s and such. And that is just attributed to shot selection. I feel like we went up for some bad 2s, especially in like the corners and such. And Oral Roberts did the same. Like, they were shooting 3s that literally hit the backside of the backboard. Both teams' shot selection was kind of off, and it was mainly defensive performance, and that's not how Arkansas wins their games. We usually score like 75 plus, but 20 game 72, 70 is always good in March. And I don't think we got lucky. I said this last time a little bit, but we played tight enough defense on Amos that he didn't get a complete open look, and it hit off the front side of the rim. But that's just how March is. You play one game at a time, and considering we were down double digits in all 3 games and still won is impressive. But I say this all the time. I'm like, we can't do this against this team, and then we do it, and then it works sometimes. We can't do that against Baylor. Monday night at 8:57 Central Time at Lucas Oil Stadium, Arkansas is playing in the Elite Eight for a spot to the Final Four on the line. Moses will get the start. Devo gets the start. I think Williams, Smith, and then I'm blanking on his name, Tate. So those will be the starting 5 for Arkansas. And before I talk about what Arkansas does, I'm just going to point out the big guys on Baylor that Arkansas has to stop. Jared Butler. This guard for this team is just so impressive. 4.7 assists per game. They have 2 guys averaging plus 4 assists a game, and the other guy is Mitchell. Teague as well, 15.7, and that backcourt is just tough to beat. You got Butler, Teague, and Mitchell, and this is how I would guess Arkansas lines on defense here. We're probably going to have Mitchell on, I would guess, Moses or Tate, and then Teague on Moses or Tate, and then Butler on Devo for sure. And this is just so important here not to get in any foul trouble. We do have pretty good 2 defenders off the bench for guards and Desi and JD, and I think they'll come in to play defense, give main guys a rest up and such. But, you can't get into early foul trouble, because if you get in early foul trouble, we're going to have to keep just going off the bench. You obviously want to keep your starters in. And, the thing is, they have a front court presence pretty well. I feel like that's kind of underestimated because they run a lot of, pick and pop situations with their good forwards. And if you just watch them play basketball, they just play tough, athletic. They beat you off transition. I watched them play Villanova yesterday, and a couple points that Villanova did to almost get the upset is they didn't turn over the ball that much until the last few minutes. They obviously were without their starting point guard, so they struggled towards the end. They only had 16 total turnovers, and I know that seems like a ton, but you gotta, see how many of those were actually at the end of the game. And Baylor is a 3-point oriented team. They shoot like 42% from 3, and they only shot 15.8%. And if Arkansas can hold them to 15.8% in this Elite Eight matchup, that's going to be drastic for our chances of winning. And Baylor is just so good on defense as well, and they're just such a well-rounded squad all around. 56 points against is their average, and they score 83. Arkansas is lower in both, 81.7 per game scored, and then 68 against. We actually do have the edge on the rebounding side. We average 3 more rebounds per game. They average 2 more assists per game. Just shows how well they work that offense around. And, get the ball into the best hands of the guards, whether that be Mitchell, Teague, or who else. They also average more steals per game, but we average more blocks. So just some generic stats there. If we look at Baylor's 2 losses, though, this is where it gets interesting. They lost to Oklahoma State in the Big 12 tournament. And what Oklahoma State did is they shot well from deep and stopped Baylor from shooting well from deep. I think that's the main point in this matchup. But Oklahoma State shot 40% from deep. Baylor shot 21% from deep. You look at Baylor's other loss against Kansas. Baylor shot 23% from deep. Kansas only shot 18% from deep. However, they shot 51% from the floor. Settled for a lot of, mid-range jumpers and such. I think Musselman will have his guys prepared. We obviously been preparing this for a little while, but Baylor is just a tough team to beat. If we look at the point spread right now, Baylor is favored by 7 points, and then the ESPN BPI gives Arkansas a 25.6% chance to win. Some things that Arkansas has to do good to win this matchup is just play well off the pick and roll. We got to have really everybody play what I would call their, quote, A game. We got to have Moses playing better than he did against Oral Roberts. You want to have Tate and guys like Smith, take part of their game from the Oral Roberts game and contribute that, like Jalen Tate scoring, Justin Smith rebounds, etc. Because if you don't have your guys producing points, you aren't going to win games. And there's only so many guys you can go off the bench to try to rely on points when your starters aren't working. Now, Arkansas is actually undefeated when it holds an opponent to 76 points or lower. Arkansas is 4-6 when opponents go above 76 points. So if Arkansas wants to win this game, I'm going to say they're going to have to hold under 76. That's almost a given. Baylor plays tough defense. They have an exceptional assist to field goals ratio. I'm looking forward to this one. It's on CBS at 9 o'clock Central Time, and it's possible that Arkansas can win this game. Baylor's a tough team to beat, but I'm not going to put anything past Musselman and the staff because, we have some really incredible, talented players, some great staff coaches, and, like Jalen Tate said, we're not done yet. But, it's a little bit short an episode here because I'm live in Indy and I'm doing some other stuff, but I thought I'd just get this out real quick. But you know the deal. Signing off. Let's get this Hogs to the Final Four, baby. Woo pig suey.
That's all for today's episode of All Hogs Sports with Sam Stimpson. Make sure to stay tuned for the next episode covering all Arkansas Razorback sports. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe and leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on social media too. On Twitter and Instagram at All Hogs Sports Pod. Like on Facebook at All Hogs Sports and Arkansas Razorbacks Podcast. And on YouTube at that same name. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. Go Hogs!